a family that prays together, stays together. So it is very important to acknowledge that we are in a family unit, to spend time with that family. You know, people are changing every day. Whatever, I'll take my own example. I don't have a fixed opinion on anything. Why? Because I am changing. My opinion, say, on something 5 years ago was not the same as my opinion on the same thing 1 year ago, which is not the same now, because the situation is different, because the way we respond to things has changed, because the way we think has changed. You know, with over time, with experience, you develop a different sort of maturity. It is said that in a couple, you have to again and again adapt to the same person to be able to keep pace with that same person, so you both can move in the same direction. Loving the person, understanding and adapting to that person, and loving that person for who they are is not the same thing. You know, when we get into a relationship or when we get into a family, taking people for granted is so easy, because we have to earn for the family, because we're stressed, because we have our studies, because we have our goals. But what about the family? What about that family time? What about the respect and the love and the trust and the care and the affection that we have? If we expect people to be 100% perfect, we are going to be disappointed. If we expect people to act according to our own wishes, we're definitely going to be disappointed. If we expect people to say whatever we want to say and react according to what we want them to do, we are definitely going to be 100% disappointed. So it is very important to meet people halfway, no?
Middle way.
We do a little bit from our part, and if they don't do it, fine. Communicate in a soft way, in a loving way. Whatever comes from the heart when we communicate, people will receive it. Ego comes when we want to put pressure upon that person to do something that we want them to do, and they don't want to accept it. Ego does come in the way. But if we communicate from the heart, even if at that moment that person is in the ego and reacting with anger or whatever, you know, people are people. Wait for the person to calm down and then have a conversation, a calm conversation with that person, not a confrontation. Do not confront people. Sometimes it might be necessary, you know, especially when violence is involved, when the toxicity has reached an intolerable level. Confrontation might be important, especially when there's gaslighting, you know, and such thing. It does happen. I'm not saying that we have to be like a marshmallow and accept everything and, you know, do everything on our own behalf. But when we love someone, giving 100% from our heart, especially in the family, you know, it does go a long way in establishing a connection, a smooth relationship. Nothing anyway is going to be smooth, but we don't have to. Next step is to over dramatize the situation. You know, he said this and that, and keeping one thing that person said for 1 week, 1 month, and then, you know, we are harming ourselves. That person might have said something last year, might have even apologized, but every time we bring up the same thing over and over again, it's gone. So the next step would be to not bring up the past. We have spoken about communication, acknowledging the situation, self-love, change in mindset. The next thing would be not to bring up the past. See, in a family, so many things happen. When you again and again bring up the past, what happens is it breaks the trust and the confidence and the, you know, whatever has settled in after such and such event, it breaks the flow. And that is when again more bitterness comes up. See the situation? Are you there? The next thing would be not to bring up the past. The event has gone. Whatever has happened, it has been in the past. I'm not saying that everything will repair itself, in a minute, in 1 day, 2 days. But when we start healing, when we are on the process of healing, if again and again we bring up the past, the only thing that we're doing is hurting ourselves and hurting the other people, especially family. Then we'll have bitterness that comes in. Then we will have relationships that have, and people that have come apart in the family. And it always, always brings up something negative. It is always hurtful, not only to the person, but to everyone in the family. Why? Because it is family. No? So that is a bit of what I had to share. And a few more tips would be to work on oneself. For example, doing some breathing techniques, meditation, yoga, doing something creative, doing some activities for oneself and activities with the family. Especially, during lockdowns, people could have sat together and played something, told stories, cooking together, lots of things that can be done in a unit. We tend to look for friends outside of the family, but we can also have friends within the family.
Good point.
So these are a few tips that I had to share. I hope it does help our viewers, our friends, and family.
Thank you. I think you've said so much, and if we try to go back and look at each one, it's very practical, but at the same time, it's actually very deep also when you discuss all these different concepts. But the general feeling I get from all the things you've said is that the reality Thanks a lot for all that explanation, Kashini. And you've really described a lot of different aspects, and you've really gone into detail in each one. And that's really interesting. And I think for me, I would like to really rewind back and actually digest each idea slowly, because you actually explain all these things so well. But the general feeling I do get from everything you've explained is that the reality is the way it is right now with the family, and it's the person who needs to actually view it in a different way, understand his or her emotions better, the way things are happening in the surroundings, and try to find the right approach to actually deal with the things happening. So, and that's very important, because it's something I've experienced also. We try to think of events as being external from us, and it requires external fixing. For example, the behavior of this person needs to change. That needs to change there. People need to behave better, but we never really think about how we can change, or what are the behaviors we can work on to actually change the things. And one thing I really liked, and what you said, is you change your own thinking patterns. And one thing I've noticed is that when you change your own behavior, let's say, the people who have like a sort of bad influence or you, they don't behave well towards you, when actually your behavior changes, they don't have the same control they have on you. So in that
Exactly, and the
sense,
same
their
influence
behavior also
also.
change. Exactly.
Yes.
So I think that's That's the essence. It's the work we need to do on ourselves, isn't it? That would be
Definitely,
the final thing to wrap up this conversation, isn't it?
definitely.
Is there any last thing you would like to say?
So I'll finish maybe by just taking your words. If our friends do want to retain something from this conversation, would be definitely to work on themselves continuously. Do not let yourselves down. Continuously work on yourselves. It can be in the education field, professional, personal development is so important. And once you get a grip on who you want to be, who you are right now, and working consistently for yourself towards your own personal goals, I tell you, definitely you will be happier and in a better world.
Yeah, so true. Thanks a lot, Keshini,
Thank you
for
so much.
another amazing conversation. And
It has been an
we
honor.
really talk, yeah, we really talk about it, a lot of things when you think about it, and it's
Definitely.
really amazing.
Those are always our conversations.
It's always amazing. I know, and I'm sure we'll have something else to discuss very soon once we actually publish this video. There's so much wisdom in this video, and there's so much really authentic
Sharing.
sharing, and it feels so genuine. And I think that people will really appreciate the time you've given and so much
Thank you
wisdom.
for initiating all of that,
You're welcome.
So nice.
Yeah. We'll
And
see each
bless
other
you for
very soon.
everything. Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you.